Hi everyone, welcome to Hunter Gatherer Cooking. We're doing another video at the Stalking Show 2024 and I am joined with Valdemar, who is the CEO of Harkila, who if you've been following the channel for a long time you will see that all throughout the last 2 odd years you'll probably see me in my Harkila shirts and the outfit, the deer stalking suit and everything. But Valdemar's kindly offered to come on and have a chat today about the business and the people and provenance and things like that. So I'm really grateful to actually meet someone, and hopefully we were just talking then. I would love to organise a trip over to HQ and see what you guys are doing over there. So yeah, thanks for coming over. You're over for 1 day at the moment. I've obviously been over to see the guys on the Harkila stand. Is it going well?
It is going well.
Yeah?
It seems very busy.
Good.
There's a lot of things buzzing around.
I know that David, the organiser, he was predicting about 5,000 people a day, something like that. Yeah. It certainly has seemed busy from here. So hopefully lots of sales and things like that. Yeah. But it'd be nice to hear from you more about sort of who and what Harkila are all about, because there's always changes. You're always bringing out new jackets and new things like that. So it seems like you're trying to keep up with trends and set new trends and things like that. But over to you, really. You know, what is Harkila all about?
Well, thanks for having me. And it's I think it's a very big question. What is Harkila all about? We're having our 40th anniversary next year, so it's 40 years ago since our founder actually started with the first Harkila products. And basically where we're coming from is the founder of Harkila is a Swedish guy called Kjell Lennartson, and he's a vivid moose hunter, and his dad was a vivid moose hunter. And back in the days where you didn't have membranes and you didn't have all of this, they were going moose hunting in waxed pans, in high pile fleeces and stuff like that, because mooses have really good ears. Yeah. So you need to be very quiet, you go out there. But in Sweden it rains a lot and it gets really cold.
So I didn't know that. So that's where the whole silent, with the soft material, that's where that came from.
That's where it came from, because he said, I need to find something, because back in the mid 80s, a membrane would make as much noise as a plastic bag.
Yeah, of course.
So he actually contacted Gore-Tex and said, is there any way that we can make a collaboration? Can we make a membrane that is silent so we can use it for our moose hunt? So he found some really silent fabric, he added the membrane that Gore-Tex were making for him, and there you had the solution to a problem. So I think to answer your question, what is Harkila all about? We're very much about finding that innovative, that technical solution to a very traditional problem. Yeah. Because going hunting and shooting is a very traditional thing. People used to say that bicycling is a very old sport, because the first bicycle race were arranged back in the 1860s. Well, you've gone hunting as a sport for more than 1,000 years. Yeah. So 1,000 years ago, you would go hunting with the nobles, with the kings. You were invited as a sport. So hunting is very, very traditional. But again, we are all looking at the technologies, at the innovations. How can we make it easier? How can we make it better? How can we make life easier for the hunter to be out there? And particularly when you go to Sweden, if you're wet and you're cold and it's minus 10 degrees, that can also be life-threatening. So you need to make sure that your gear is right. Yeah, definitely. So we've always been about making the best gear for that specific hunting situation. Yes. It's always been about making the best. We wanted to make the best solution to any specific hunting situation. And I think the philosophy is, as long as you want to make the best, you have to use the best materials, you have to make the best suppliers, you have to test it to the furthest, to the extreme. And when you do that, you can never be the cheapest. Yeah. But that has never been our goal. Our goal has always to be the best. Yeah. And that's what so when I was first new 2-3 years ago to all of this, I mean, I didn't even know any of the brands. Right. But my friend Matt from Grove Game, he was already using Harkila all the way through, and I said, who are they? Why have you chosen them? And he just basically said, because it lasts forever. Yeah. And at the time that didn't mean anything. No. But then when you go out stalking and you're walking through brambles and nettles and thistles and wet grass and things like that, I mean, I've got the Mountain Hunter suit, and I feel
almost bulletproof to the environment anyway, not literally. But yeah, I feel like I can walk through anything and I stay dry and I don't get prickled, and it just works. It just absolutely works.
But I think that's the key, because when you're out there, you shouldn't worry about your gear.
Yeah.
You should always trust that your gear works, because if you've been sitting out there waiting in the cold for 4 hours for the animal to show up, you don't want to miss the shot just because you're cold or you're wet. So you need to trust. You don't. We often say that the using Harkila gives you access, because once you're out there, as I said, you don't want to worry about it, and you don't have to worry about it. You have to worry. There's so many other things that can go wrong when
finding
you're out
it, not spooking it,
and being in the right position at the right time and getting the right shot and all of that. There's so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure that it's definitely not the gear.
One of the things that I haven't even spoken about this, but it was something that was really noticeable for me, was the I think they're called. Well, they look very similar to the Mountain Hunter gloves. They're not thick. I don't know if you know the ones at all. But when I went up to Scotland with Pete and we went out in the snow, I knew what the conditions were, and I was worried. I was like, I think I'm going to be cold, but I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and suck it up. And I was amazed how well just the gloves performed. I mean, the whole jacket was brilliant. I wasn't cold for a second. But I think with a lot of gloves, you can, if you get sweaty, you get that clamminess, your skin kind of goes attacking, things like that. My hands weren't cold. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And it's only a thin material, but I think if you can keep the wind out and you keep that water out, your body will sort of regulate and things anyway.
But that's the thing with insulation, because insulation is basically preserving air.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea. So heated air is what gives you the insulation. So if we can avoid that wind will blow away the air, and you don't get wet, then we got you insulated.
Yeah.
And the way that we develop things, as I said, we want to be the best in any category that we go into. And so there's a lot of hunters in the company. But what we actually do is, so we're a Danish company. We wanted to do the Mountain Hunter camo. This is something very special for us. It's very new. The highest peak in Denmark is 174 meters high.
Right.
So it's a bump on the road.
Right.
So what do we know about making mountain hunting gear, right?
Yeah.
So what we did was we worked with the market board. So we called up 3 different specialists that are all doing mountain hunting in Austria and the French Alps for a living. We called them up and said, guys, we need your input. Bring whatever you are using, or bring all the problems that you may have for stuff that you don't already have, and tell us how to make the best mountain hunting gear. And they came out and spent 3 days with us. And the first thing I noticed with all 3 of them, the first thing they took out of their backpack was a scale.
A what, sorry?
A scale.
Oh, right.
So they wanted to weigh everything, because once you go up in the extreme heights, in 3,000 meters, 4,000 meters, it's all about weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's about being protected from the air, being protected from the cold. It's all about layering, and it's all about the weight.
Right.
So we set out to create, and we came out with the lightest mountain hunting products out there.
Right.
So again, and that's how we stay the best. It is because we work with the best and we test it thoroughly. So once we had it, we of course sent it down to them. They were wearing it, and they were giving us feedback, and we were changing it.
I really like that, actually, because again, Matt, who I do a lot of things with, he's been sent different things, and he's asked specifically, almost like be super critical, tell us everything. Yeah. And I know that feedback has gone back and they've taken it on board and things like that. Yeah. You get some companies across all different markets, and they'll release something, and you can almost tell that there's not been some like real testing going on with it. Yeah. But it's nice that, I mean, I love the guarantee that comes with it. If there's so many people who I've spoken to. And yes, there may have been an issue with whatever it was, but it's sent in and it's sent back, and and it's replaced and things like that. And again, I think that's really important for people. If you're going to spend the money and you're going to wear the kit, it's got to do what it should do. Yeah,
and I think actually one of our biggest problems is that our products last too long.
Right.
So the reselling
edit.
Yeah. But it's a thing. But then again, if you look at this from a sustainability or CSR point of view, we know that long-lasting products is actually the most important solution to the whole great greenhouse emission issue. Producing clothes can never be sustainable.
Right.
You can be more bad or you can be less bad,
right.
but it can never be sustainable because it requires
Because ultimately
energy.
you want the clothes to last forever, don't you, really?
Exactly,
yeah.
And that's the thing. So, and I don't know if you know this, but 71% of all the greenhouse gases that are emitted when producing clothes is being emitted before it actually even reach the harbor in China or whatever you're producing.
Right.
So 71% is actually being released in production. So if we can extend the longevity, the lifetime of just a product, we can actually reduce that 71%. It's our best chance to actually be something for the environment.
Yeah.
So 3% is shipping. So we always think that shipping products back and forth from China or from Vietnam or wherever it is, that's the biggest concern. But it's not when you look at the whole process. It's only 3%.
Yeah.
3% is retailing, so using the lights and the heats and the retail stores and all that. And then 20% is actually in the usage. So when you wash it, you tumble dry it, all of that, that's actually 20% of the CO2 emissions. Right. So if you can even reduce the temperature on how you're washing your garment, we recommend people not to overwash it. Don't wash it too often.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come home and you're smothered with blood from an animal, of course you should wash it. Yeah. And then you should tumble dry it, because tumble drying it will help the membrane. It will actually kick in and restart the membrane.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it does. And
I'd actually like to do a little video on that, because I've had mine. I've had it a couple of years. I mean, whether I should shamefully admit this or not, it's never been washed. I think it's still in a great condition and it doesn't need it. But like, if I've got blood, I'll wipe it down basically. Yeah. But maybe I should do it. So tumble drying actually helps then.
Yes, and we recommend that you tumble dry it just once a year.
And put some of those balls and things in with it, or just?
That's only if you have down in the product. Otherwise, you don't need it. You just tumble dry.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but again, so when you look at the CO2 emissions, it's actually everything is in the production.
Right.
So if I can extend the lifetime of a product, that is, and I have to say, we've done long-lasting products for all of the 40 years that we've been in. It's not a green thing that we're doing. We've done it always because we believe by making quality, as you said, if people are paying the price, they should get a product that lasts.
Yeah. The second-hand market is actually really good. Again, you talk to someone who say, "Oh, how much did that cost?" And they'll say, "Oh, I actually only paid this because someone put it on, whatever they put it on, eBay or Facebook or whatever," and it then gets handed down again. So if they can't afford that new price, they can get it at a more affordable price because someone's looked after it and it's lasted.
Yeah.
No, loads of people like that. I mean, Matt's jacket that he wears, God knows how old it is. It's like really, really old. But that's one of the original Pro Hunter ones.
Right.
And it's just indestructible.
Yeah. We know people who've actually had that kit for 17 years.
Really?
Yeah, and still using it.
I don't doubt them at all. I think, so for me, that is like a really, really, really nice suit. There's just something about that suit that just looks really sharp. And the other one that I love, I tried it on, was, is it every other year you do a limited edition?
No, we don't have a fixed rule for that. But we do it every once in a while.
Okay, so just every... Yeah. Is this one part of it?
This is a new piece that just came out a couple of days ago.
Because the logo that looks different. Is that how things could be, or?
Well, this is a waistcoat made with eider down.
Oh right.
And again, this is one of our ways to actually try to use some of the nature's insulation products. So eider down has the highest warmth to weight ratio.
Right.
Eider down is primarily produced in Iceland. So worldwide there's only produced 4,000 kilos of eider down. The 3,000 kilos are produced in Iceland. Right. So it's more rare than diamonds.
Oh wow.
And what happens actually is, so the guy that we're working with, he has a sanctuary for the eider duck. The eider duck are all free. They're all wild ducks, but they all return to the sanctuary every year because he keeps it protected. He shoots the Arctic fox. Right. Iceland is the only place where you can shoot the Arctic fox, for example, to save the eider duck. So what happens is he will go out when they have laid their eggs and they're laying in the nest. He will go out, and we are actually coming out with a video showing this. He'll lift up the duck, he'll remove the eggs, he'll take all the downs from the nest, put the eggs back again, and then put the duck back on the eggs.
Right.
And people are like, but why is he taking the insulation from the nest? The thing is, the mother duck plucks the down because it has such high insulation that if she wouldn't do that, she wouldn't be able to give enough warmth to the egg so they can hatch. So it's a byproduct. So she needs to get rid of the down so she can actually give warmth to the eggs so they can hatch. He's collecting it, he's cleaning it, and we're putting it in a waistcoat like this.
And it's a natural product.
It is a natural product.
That's amazing. I was going to ask you a question, something around plastics and things like that. You know, there are all kinds of companies now across loads of products where they're upcycling from recycled plastics and things like that. Are Harkila sort of doing anything like that currently, or are they moving into anything like that?
It's a very difficult conversation to have. Yeah. Because the thing is, if you look back 5 years ago, there was a lot of attention to the whole recycling plastics, threading plastic bottles and make them into fleece products, etc. What we've learned is that the consumption of energy in doing that is actually worse. So it doesn't make any sense. So what you need to do is you need to reuse the plastic bottles in the right way, the way the plastic bottles were intended to be used, and then have a more, and I'm saying sustainable production, but again, as I said, there is no sustainable production of clothing. It's either more or less bad. So no, we are not doing that. But what we are focusing on from our point of view is actually to increase the longevity of the product. If you can use the product maybe 2 years longer than you normally would, I could basically, and honestly I haven't made the calculation, but I would say I could ship all of my jackets home individually in a private jet and still spend less CO2 if you can just use your jacket 2 years more. Right. So that's the conversation we're having. That's what we want to do. Yeah. So no, we're not looking in upcycling. We're doing a lot of other stuff, and all of that is documented on our webpage. Yeah. So there's a lot of work going on in using the right material and working with the right organizations and making sure that we're doing the right things in our production countries and all of that. But upcycling of plastic is not one of them, because and there's a lot of talk about greenwashing, and that is greenwashing. Yeah, it makes sense. I get it. I mean, they're talking about electric cars and things, and you look at how they produce the batteries and things like that. So anyway, that's a conversation for another time. But if you look at the overall strategy plan for EU, they are having more and more focus on the reusability of things rather than the recycling of things. Right. So the focus is recycling and reusing with emphasis on reusing. The thing is, no one's going to put this in the bin or anything. No. They'll clean it up, they'll make it, and then they'll have it for however many years. And absolutely. Yeah. So it's good. I mean, I've done a video call with Rasmus and Mark. Yeah. Your offices look really cool, look really good. Yeah. I'd love to see the designs. You must have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of designs that probably never see the daylight and things like that. I'd imagine there's a lot of designs and testing and feedback and things like that. I'd love to see some of that process at some point. Absolutely, you're more than welcome to come and visit us. And I'd love to get out and see elk or moose or something like that. That would be incredible to witness that. I think one of the founder of Harkila is still part of the company, so he's up in Sweden, and he actually has in his contract that he is off in September and October. Right. Because he's going hunting, he's going moose hunting. And it's a perfect opportunity for us to put a lot of products with him to go testing. Right. So our footwear, for example, we did a relaunch of our footwear range in 22, because to be honest, we hadn't done a fantastic job. And as we said, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. So again, we gathered a team of experts. We had a shoe designer from Echo, the Danish shoe brand. We had Gore-Tex involved. We had a boot designer from Viking, the Norwegian shoe brand. We moved all of our production to Italy, so the Italians are very good in producing footwear. We came up with all these new models, and we sent it out for, among others, our founder Shell to test them. Yeah. And we normally say, because he walks so many kilometers in the mountains, that if it can last him a year, it can last the average hunter a lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's how we test it. And again, that's how we still use him in the company.
I know some of that story already.
Yeah.
And I've got the boots. I don't know what they're called actually. But I've got the twisty, the U-turn one.
The right mark.
And again, I've been up in Scotland. I mean, lowland stalking now in field seems like, child's play, but compared to Scotland.
Yeah.
But again, walking through the heathers and everything up there, the boots held up perfectly. I had warm, dry feet. It did what it was supposed to. And the best thing I'll never forget was Simon Esnuff. He compared it to like putting slippers on. And I remember when they came through, because I couldn't try them on whilst I went down to the UK HQ, because I got size 12 feet. And I remember putting them on, and I just heard his voice. I was like, these are so comfortable and so light.
Yeah.
Just great boots, great boots.
And I have the same feeling. I mean, I have this very special pair of boots, and I worn it in, and I walk many kilometers, and I just feel that every time I step down into it, it's like coming home.
And they're light, and they stay airy, and I love the fact that you can just tighten them up, and then obviously take them off. Yeah, it just works. You just think, why am I bothering with laces? And I was really worried that the wire line, whatever it was, you worry that it's flimsy but touch wood, it hasn't. But then I have spoken to Purdy, and people have obviously snapped them somehow.
Yep.
And they're just replaced, or they're shown how to fit a new one and things like that. So hopefully that won't happen. I don't.
No, but it's the same with laces, because laces will break as well, and you'll just replace them. So of course the line can crack, but then you'll just put another one in.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is there personally, is there anything that is on your agenda that you would like to go out and stalk, or anything like? Is there anything that you haven't done, or?
There's a lot of things that I haven't done.
Yeah.
I would love to try a sea deer in Ireland.
Right. Okay.
So, which is, I think, one of the things that I can get to do at some point.
So have you shot a seeker before?
No.
Oh, just not at all. So you'd like to go over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do my first seeker. I would love to do stalking for a stag in Scotland as well.
And you've done that, or you haven't?
I haven't done that.
Really?
No, I haven't done that.
I just assumed that.
No.
I assumed you did it all.
No.
I looked at your Instagram earlier, just to sort of do a little bit of background, because you've got a military background, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I saw you had a head injury with a knife in your head.
Yeah.
For, what was that, Halloween or something?
Yeah, that
was on
ago.
there.
Yeah.
But
so there's a couple of things that I really want to go and do. But and with the job that I have, it becomes more and more accessible, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, you're in a perfect position to do all that.
Absolutely.
I think we're probably sort of thereabouts on time, so thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
If you have any questions at all for Valdemar or Harkila in general, drop them in the comments. Even when I've done the videos about the different clothing and try them on, people are asking me just about fit, and so I'll try and come back as often as I can. But again, I appreciate everyone watching. Give the video a like and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you soon for the next video.